Hello, my name is Tanishka Mhaskar, and I attend Wayzata High School in Plymouth, Minnesota. My project is titled Exploring Electroencephalography, Feasibility of EEG in Conjunction to Evaluation After Sports-Related Concussion. The inspiration for this project came about how I have experienced a concussion before in swimming, and I also enjoy watching contact sports such as ice hockey and football. Additionally, the stigma around concussions has been very fascinating to me, and I believe that it is a very relevant problem in all levels of sports. Traumatic brain injury is a silent epidemic. It has a high incidence, a great potential for disability, but it is still not regarded as a serious issue despite extensive proof of its adverse impacts. A combination of physical, cognitive, and behavioral symptoms form post-concussion syndrome, like headaches and irritability. Usually, post-concussion syndrome resolves within a month, but sometimes it can last for a whole year or more, causing permanent disabilities and damage. To detect brain injury, electroencephalography, EEG, was developed 140 years ago. EEGs are a very effective tool in identifying post-concussion syndrome and neurotherapy, a type of biofeedback which illustrates brain activity and has been shown in several studies to be effective improving symptoms of post-concussion syndrome. The purpose of this study aims to discuss the importance of EEGs, why they are used in assessing concussions, treating post-concussion syndrome, and evaluating return to playtime, and what makes them more sensitive than regular cognitive testing. The hypotheses were that EEG analysis is a variable tool for detecting concussions and determining return to playtime because it is more sensitive than routine cognitive testing. Additionally, neurotherapy illustrates brain activity and displays locations for targeted biofeedback. A robust database was compiled from numerous published articles and queried to ascertain EEG applications and effectiveness. The keywords were in English and included traumatic brain injury, EEG, and post-concussion syndrome. EEGs are important to the procedure of concussion management because they add an important component to the process in order to provide a reliable diagnosis. In a study conducted by McNerney, it was discovered that employing simple EEG measurements with the routine symptom questionnaire in two different groups, healthy volunteers and participants who had suffered a concussion, resulted in a 9% increase in diagnosis accuracy. The EEG, based on spectral analysis, was more sensitive, detecting that symptoms of the concussion were still there. The study used individual EEG frequencies, which helped interpret the more subtle post-concussion defects that might be missed by regular CT scans or MRIs. It was discovered that concussive symptoms can persist up to 12 months or more after the injury, even if the results don't show up on a CT scan. These basic tests are ineffective, but EEGs are not. EEGs can provide clinicians with more targeted treatment options by providing information on the underlying physiology, which is associated with symptoms of the post-concussion syndrome. Krosak found that topographic mapping was superior at detecting some regional abnormalities. For example, in the figure to the right, there is an atypical brain on the left, and that is more likely of a concussed patient, while the map on the right is one of a healthy patient. The study establishes that QEEGs, quantitative EEGs, can help show that regional wave activity corresponds well with the lesions in many patients. And it is based off of standard bands which are attached to patients' heads, shown in the figure below the wording, based off of different brainwaves. Neurotherapy is a type of alternative therapy, more specifically, a type of biofeedback that uses real-time displays to illustrate brain activity. They have core symptoms of post-concussion syndrome, and each of these symptoms respond positively to neurotherapy. During neurotherapy, a QEEG is displayed on the computer in a form of a game, and the relative efficiency of neurotherapy in the treatment warrants the continued use of this method. The quantitative EEGs help guide neurotherapists in choosing which EEG variables and locations to target for biofeedback have been proven to be of value. Buenas and his colleagues concluded that neurotherapy can successfully treat patients with brain injury. It is important to note that improvement in symptoms is correlated only with changes in EEG features because there is a positive correlation. Based on the nature of self-reporting, players often have to decide if the risks and consequences outweigh the benefit of returning to play. The decision to return to play is a complex one, regardless of injury type, and it is more difficult in context of recurrence, proximity, or severity. It is increasingly important because psychological stressors and the culture of sports can affect the athlete's decision to play. Since concussed patients are able to achieve normal functioning because of additional brain networks in MRIs and CT scans, it allows them to pass clinical tests while still displaying electrophysiological deficits. Researchers wonder how feasible EEG measures were in detecting neuronal damage and monitoring healing process. A study used YMCA bikes, which had participants exercise in periods of 2 minutes. So bikes with an accommodation period had EEG sensor arrays and heart monitors. The recordings were taken in 4 separate stages: rest, bike, post-bike, and 24 hours post-bike. Gay and the team concluded that the measurement of physiological biomarkers from injury from concussion are critical in order to make safe return-to-play determinations, and that incorporation of EEGs during light exercise in return-to-play protocol is in fact feasible. The main disadvantage of EEGs is poor spatial resolution. Since measurements are taken at the scalp, the received signal becomes the sum of the electric field. Because of this, the EEG signal is not useful for pinpointing the exact source of the activity. Modern analysis techniques can provide a better clue to where in the brain signals are coming from by using lots of electrodes, but it's still a best guess procedure. A possible source of error in this study includes data collection methods because I used a various amount of publications that had different studies done by different authors and teams in different settings with different patients, and sometimes they didn't line up perfectly, but the amount of studies I used helped combat that issue. Conclusions. This research proved the hypothesis true. Future works concern deeper analysis of how effectively EEGs can classify concussed patients and individuals at various stages of recovery, and if targeted neurotherapy helps decrease the return to play time. This work that proved the hypothesis true were that EEGs are a valuable tool for detecting concussions right after they occur or during post-concussion evaluation. They're more sensitive than cognitive testing, and they can guide neurotherapy by using real-time displays because of the positive correlation. Future works include EEG classification at various stages of recovery, and if targeted neurotherapy actually helps decreasing return to play time because of the extent of positive correlation. These are my references. I used a various amount of studies from different authors from all around the world. All images by the author unless otherwise noted. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope that EEGs can be more responsibly used by people all over the world so that we can make return to play safer for all athletes.